I try really hard not to be negative about things, even if I don't think it's a good idea. I try to take a wait and see approach to stuff, but I really think a reboot would be a bad idea. I think that if you were going to do something, it's a huge verse. Do something else with some other characters so that you could have the potential to bring in some old characters every once in a while to make cameos or further the story a bit. Do something else, and but you'd have to have at least Joss, if not some of the other cast, involved some way, shape, or form in order to please old fans.
Okay, so anyway, I'm going to start with this this is a rumor, folks, just a rumor, but it had such a reaction on the Taskforce Geek Facebook group that I had to address it here. We got to talk about it. The Giant Freakin Robot source says that the Disney is in early development on a Firefly reboot. The new show would start the story of Captain Mal Reynolds and his crew aboard the Serenity over from scratch, with an aim to make this a long-running series on Disney+. There's a twist here, and the twist is that they see the show as an ideal family-friendly programming for Disney+. That source tells them that they're planning to target it more as a PG adventure instead of PG-13, and maybe get a little bit away from the way that Joss Whedon originally intended. Let me emphasize one more time before we get into this. This is insanely in the rumor category. Although, it's also something that makes sense if you're trying to get people to subscribe to Disney+. This is something besides Star Wars and Marvel that could get people excited. They own this property now. I don't know why you would sit on it. So anyway, I want to just throw out maybe a few thoughts. What do you think that Disney Plus should run a Firefly series? What are your thoughts? Do you think that should happen? Do you think that Joss Whedon should be or will be involved in this thing? And finally, how do you feel about them starting it from scratch? Is that even a possibility, or are you going to get the old crowd in there? So on that first, I'm going to go to Sean.
I'm chucking this up to just fan idol theory. I can't imagine this actually happening. First off, whenever Fox canceled Firefly, they gave all the rights back to Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon then took that, farmed it out to see if he had any buyers. Universal Studios bid for a single movie, which was Serenity. As far as I know, Fox did not have the rights to Firefly other than possibly syndication of the show that had already been filmed. I don't think that they have the rights to make further Firefly. With that being said, if they want to soften it by any means, that's stupid. If they want to make it more family friendly, stop. Don't fix it. If you want it, run it. If you don't, leave it alone. If Joss Whedon is involved, which if you're doing Firefly, kind of has to be. I don't know to what extent, but you have to have Joss involved in some manner. I mean, that he made that show. That's his show.
Yeah.
I've said for a long time now, it's only been 15, 20 years. I don't know how long it's been. You can't just pick up where you left off and keep moving. You would have to start over. And will anybody be interested if you start over? Because you're not going to have the family that you had in the original. And I just don't see it working. If Disney is in possession of this property and they are working on it, stop trying to fix it. Just do it if you're going to do it. And I don't know how it's going to work with a new cast. That seems silly to me. Now, if they want to do a Star Wars version of Firefly, rock and roll, that'd be fantastic. Because obviously, Firefly was just a step off of a Han Solo miniseries. Go for it. But
Shell says if they're going to take away the original feel of Firefly, it will bomb. It was perfect the way it was. This sounds like a false rumor.
that's what I'm thinking.
Gary mentions that space westerns are kind of big right now. There's a little thing they call the Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is very much, there's definitely some influence there. Walt, I'm going to go to you next.
As I said, there's been such a big, huge, as we like to say, data dump over the last few days.
Can we talk about your hat?
Yeah,
It's a koala.
it's a koala. I got this.
It's pretty epic.
I got this a few years ago.
This may be bigger than the Disney data dump.
I got this a few years ago. It came in I forgot. It's at a convention, and they call them a surprise box or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And it was, although the surprise boxes are nowhere near as good as they were the year that I got this, but it was a $30 box full of stuff, which totaled to about $180. And this hat was one of the things that was in there. And you guys up there in Oklahoma and all that snow, you are missing one of the warmest hats I have ever put on the top of my head.
Of that, I have no doubt.
Those Russian Cossack hats have nothing on your koala hat.
They have nothing on this koala hat. Nothing at all.
All right. Tell us what you think about Firefly.
Firefly, the only way that they're going to make that family friendly is if it's animated.
Mm-hmm.
And it's done Disney style. And
I didn't think about animated. That would be a good one.
That's the only way I can think of it being family friendly. And if it were animated, I would watch it.
That's
I would totally watch an animated Firefly. I mean, they'd have to change up some of the characters somehow, some way, just a little bit. But that's one thing that's lacking in as far as cartoons for kids is the adventure style cartoon.
Sure.
There's not much of it.
It's not based on toys.
Yeah, there's not much of it. I mean, you look at Cartoon Network. Cartoon Network gave up every one of their adventure shows, every one of them.
Yes, they did.
And now they're struggling a little bit. When you look at what's happening at AT&T with AT&T and Warner Brothers, they're struggling. It's because they got rid of their adventure shows for kids on their animated
I agree. Yeah, I
network. But yeah, again, like I said, you can't do Firefly live action and make it PG. It's just not going to work. Although I would be surprised if it did.
Hey, Marianne.
As I like to say, prove me wrong. Basically,
right?
Prove me wrong.
Stoney, what do you think?
I am a massive Firefly fan.
Yeah.
I own Serenity probably 3 or 4 different ways. I'll give my money to anything you slap Firefly on, and I have. They started off with started making an online game, and I helped fund that. And I bought all the bonus stuff at the beginning, and then it went defunct, and I lost all my money. So, but and they brought back some of the cast to do voice acting and stuff. I was so excited, and then it just tanked. But I try really hard not to be negative about things, even if I don't think it's a good idea. I try to take a wait and see approach to stuff, but I really think a reboot would be a bad idea. I think that if you were going to do something, it's a huge verse. Do something else with some other characters so that you could have the potential to bring in some old characters every once in a while to make cameos or further the story a bit. Do something else, and but you'd have to have at least Joss, if not some of the other cast, involved some way, shape, or form in order to please old fans, or it just wouldn't work no matter what you did. You know, a reboot or even a cartoon, or which I think is a great idea. But you'd have to bring in Joss and at least some of the cast in some way, shape, or form in order to please old fans, or it just wouldn't work.
Joss did some amazing stuff with the dialogue.
Oh yeah,
that you don't get in other shows. And if you don't have him putting that hook into it, it's not gonna work. You're killing it. You're killing it before you let it loose.
For sure. I've listened to some of the audio commentary for, I believe it was Serenity. It may have been the TV show. I've listened to them both. But and listening to the guy who played Jane, Adam Baldwin, speak about the dialogue and how sometimes he had to take the script back to Joss and go, say this line because it's not.
How do I say this?
Yeah, how do I say this? How does this come across? Because when I say it, it sounds dumb. And so, but the inflections that Joss puts on things and the emphasis he puts in certain areas makes it work. And he just thought that was brilliant. So definitely you'd have to have Joss come in and at least help him out.
Yeah, he's a different dialogue writer than, say, George Lucas, who doesn't write anything that sounds like human speech, where Joss has a good way of, creating stuff that is, clever and eloquent and funny. Ken says no Firefly reboot with Nathan. You're saying that he shouldn't be in it or he won't be in it? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Don't you be talking about Nathan Fillion.
I know. What are you talking about? There's a lot to unpack on this rumor because there's a lot of elements to it. Sean mentioned whether they have the rights and stuff. I think that Joss is going through a particular period of time. I mean, he had an HBO Max series that he was just removed from. There's some issues with, I don't know. I really don't know exactly what it is, but he's having some Me Too moments or something, which is going to cause some trouble for him. He may emerge from that or he may not. The guy is talented, whatever his extracurricular activities are. I can't imagine doing Firefly without Joss. I would almost say that if you don't have him involved as a executive producer or maybe a writer or something, that I don't know. I don't think you have Firefly. I just don't think that there's any way to do that appropriately. I don't know about if you're talking about starting over from scratch. Does that mean you don't have the original cast members? Are you talking about a family-friendly version where it's those characters, but we're going to get rid of Inara because she's a lady of the night or whatever? Then again, you're not doing Firefly. Then you're doing something else entirely different, and that doesn't sound interesting to me at all. I think it's I came onto Firefly late. I take that back. I watched the first episode of Firefly when it aired, and I wondered what the hell happened to this. Why are they not telling me about the history of this world and explaining to me who these characters are and what's going on? The people who are writing this are idiots. Well, as it turns out, it was actually Fox executives that were idiots because they aired the episode out of order because they felt like they should get to the action earlier. Fox executives were really abysmal. So in any case, I never looked at Firefly again until several years later when I got a copy of the whole series on DVD, and I watched it, and then I was shocked and upset that they canceled that thing maybe 5 or 6 years earlier. So I caught up to everyone else a little late. I think that series never got its chance to take off properly, and it sounds a lot like a lot like they're going to prevent this thing from getting launched correctly again if they're going to put a bunch of ridiculous caveats on it and start it over from scratch. Every time that these cast members have been asked, every one of them have been asked about doing a Firefly reunion, starting the thing over again, they have all universally said, yes, let's do this. And that's obviously what all of the fans want. There's absolutely no question about that. all of the people are not too old to be playing these characters. If you feel like you need 3 or 4 new characters, you can insert those characters in there as well. I think it's a good idea to do this. I'm not sure if I would rather see it run on Hulu for exactly the reasons why they're talking about. Because Hulu, you can kind of get away with whatever it is. It can be more adult. The same reason why I hope that if they do another Daredevil or another Jessica Jones or another Iron Fist, I hope they'll show up on Hulu as well, so that you don't have to, kidify everything. So those are my thoughts on that subject. We have some comments here. Michelle says, truth, Sean. Joss's dialogue just makes the script come to life, makes you instantly love the characters. Yeah, lady of the night. I could. There were about 18 things that came to my mind right there, and I landed on Lady of the Night. So I want some kudos there. And
it was classy. I liked it.
Her story and the thought behind it was very important. Absolutely,
it was.
That was huge to making it a very interesting character study and putting, explaining what the world is like. It's not supposed to be like the utopian future of Star Trek. It's supposed to be like the 1800s, where this sort of thing, would be acceptable, because you're back out on the frontier and stuff. That's the point of Firefly, folks. Firefly, folks.
Say that 5 times fast.
How about that? Does anyone else have any other thoughts on this subject before I get to the data dump?
I mean, I could go on for hours, so we should probably stop there.
Yeah, exactly. And, keep in mind, it's just a silly rumor, but everyone loves the idea of Firefly doing anything. So, hello, Task Force Geek fans. Thank you for watching our video. If you enjoy our content, please leave a like, leave a comment, or you could subscribe and hit that bell so that you'll get notified every time that we put out a new video. Your individual help helps a lot. Thank you.